So I will share my slides. Okay. So again, in this chapter, you are going to learn very, very important topics. So try to focus and try to understand as much as possible. If you have not understood any of the slide in this chapter, immediately type in the chat window what you have not understood, or if you want me to repeat and explain it in a more simplified manner, I can repeat it. Okay, you can type in the chat window that to repeat the part or repeat the slide. Okay, I can repeat it. So I'm going to recap what we have learned last week until chapter 3. We completed chapter 3 today. Let's recap. What have we learned till now? So I started with explaining you what is ism, what is fi'l, what is harf. And I told you that Arabic words, al-kalimat, the words are divided into 3 categories. And these are ism, fi'l, harf. Ism are nouns, adverbs, adjectives, plus more. Okay. So ism is not like English language that noun. So ism in Arabic means more than noun. So just calling ism as noun is not fully correct. I wouldn't say that it's fully correct. That's why most of the time I'm calling ism as ism only. Okay, I'm calling ism. I'm not calling noun. Sometimes I'm telling it now just for the sake of explanation, or when it is a word similar to English word, so it is noun. So that time I might be saying noun, but ism, you should know it by ism itself because it contains more. It's not just noun, it has more. It has pronouns and other things also. Fi'l is something that have action, something that you can relate with time. So when you talk about fi'l, so it is either in past, it is in present, or something in future. Okay, and it has action, some movement. Okay, fi'l. Harf are those words which do not make any sense, and they have to come with either ism or fi'l. So when they come with ism or fi'l, then it makes sense. Okay, so inshallah we are going to learn all of these. Okay, so many of the ism we have already learned in the first 3 chapters. Okay, so many ism we have gone through. We will soon be learning fi'l, and soon harf will also be coming. Okay, now I've explained you ma'arifa and nakira. Ma'arifa means definite, nakira means indefinite. Nakira means indefinite, means something very common. Okay, and ma'arifa means something particular. Okay, so for example, kitabun can be any book. Oh, so it is nakira. And normally you identify nakira because it ends with tanween. It ends with tanween. That's how you identify nakira. It ends with tanween. So it has 2 dhamma here, or it can be 2 fatha or 2 kasra. So it ends with tanween. That's a general rule, but again there are exceptions. Okay, so ma'rifa, this is nakira. Nakira means kitabun, any book. Now if I want to make this as a particular book, so I will say that the book, so I'll say I will attach al to that, so it becomes al kitabu. That's what we learned. Okay, al kitabu. Now this becomes ma'rifa. This is nakira and this becomes ma'rifa. This is nakira, this is ma'rifa. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now in the same way, there are all the names of people, names of places, actual names of persons. They are proper, right? They are definite. So if I am saying Muhammad, I cannot call it as indefinite. It is a name of a person. It is definite. So though such names may carry tanween, it may carry tanween, but they are ma'rifah. But they are ma'rifah because it's a name of a person. So Muhammadun, Hamidun, Khadijatu, Aishatu, Maryamu, Fatimatu, all these are names of the people. So these are all ma'rifah. In the same way, Al-Hindu, the India, Pakistanu, Pakistan, all these are names of the places. So it is ma'rifah. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Ma'rifah and nakira. Now we learned about Ismul Ishara. Okay. Ismul Ishara means this, that, these, those. So in these 3 chapters, we learned 2 types of Ismul Ishara. Hada wa dhalika. Actually, dhalika is going to come, but I have already taken it. It's going to come in the chapters that is going to come in future. Okay. But I have taught you. Hada wa dhalika. For plurals, I told you ha-ulai wa ulaika, but it will be coming in future. So it will be repeated again, but you can remember them. Hada, dhalika. Hada means this. So you are referring to objects which are close to you. Dhalika means that. So you are referring to the objects that is far away from you. Now I mentioned that all ism ishara, they are ma'rifah. They are ma'rifah. So hada is ma'rifah. Dhalika is ma'rifah. It's written as dhalika. It doesn't have tanween. It doesn't have al. It doesn't have this, but they are ma'rifah. Okay, remember that. Now I will explain about them inshallah later also. Okay, they are all ma'rifah. Remember, all ismul ishara, they are ma'rifah. They are not nakira, because obviously when I'm saying this means I'm pointing something, so it is particular thing. Okay. Then I spoke about al-aqilu wa ghayru al-aqili. Okay, I spoke about al-aqil wa ghayr aqil. Aqil means those from humans, those from jinns, those from angels. So all the ism that is falling into these 3 categories, they fall into the category of al-aqil. So al-mudarrisu is aqil because the teacher is human. Al-waladu, the boy, is human. It is al-aqil. So, and any other ism, whether it is animals or things, kitabun, kalbun, dog, they all fall into the category of ghayrul aqili. Hisanun ghayrul aqili. It's ghayr aqil. Hisanun ghayr aqil. Mudarrisun is aqil. Mudarrisun is aqil. Okay. Now I spoke about ismu istifhamin. Ismu istifhamin. So 2 is ismu istifhamin we learned in chapter 1 and 2, and they were ma and man. Ma is used for ghair aqil. Ma is used for ghair aqil, and it means what in English language. It means what. It's only used for ghair aqil. So if I'm asking ma hada, if let's say I'm pointing to a horse, and I'm saying, I will say ma hada. I will not say man hada because it's not aqil. So I will say ma hada. What is this? So my answer will be hada hisanun. And the same way, man is used for aqil, which means who in English language. Who. We do not say in English also, who is this? When I'm pointing to a horse, I will not say who is this. I will say what is this, right? Same way in Arabic language, I will use man. Okay, that's for aqil. Man hada, if I'm pointing to a man. Okay, man hada, who is this? Like that. Okay, so this is ismu istifhamin. Now I also spoke about hamzatu istifhamin, which is a question, which means is question mark. So which is like interrogative question. So we have taken the examples of that, And we have seen so many examples in chapter 1 and 2. Harfu jawab. So two harfu jawab I have mentioned, which is naam and la. Naam and la. Naam means yes, la means no. So we learned these two harf also. I told you ism falls into kalimat falls into three categories: ism, fail, and harf. So this is harf. Harfu jawab, naam and la. Naam means yes, la means no. Harfu ataf. So this is also harf ataf, which means and in English language, wa. And in English language, wa. Okay. So these are the things we learned. More we have learned. Okay. So I spoke about Hamza, two categories of Hamza: Hamzatul Wasl, Hamzatul Qata. Hamzatul Wasl, Hamzatul Qata. And normally Hamzatul Wasl is denoted by such thing. So there is alif, and there is a the neck of Saad, letter Saad. Only the neck of letter Saad is mentioned over alif. So this is Hamzatul Wasl, and you will see this coming in the Arabic, in the Mus'haf, the Quran that is printed in the Arab world. So you will find this. So this is one way to identify it. The other way is any alif without anything over it, without anything, that is Hamzatul Wasl. There is no haraka also on that. There will be no harakat also. So that is Hamzatul Wasl. And sometimes this Hamzatul Wasl is not written also. Okay, I gave you example of that in my previous lectures. Hamzatul Qata. This is again Hamza, and it is written above or below alif. Now this is explicitly pronounced. It's explicitly pronounced. So it is like in ahad. I will say ahad. So I am pronouncing it. In the same way, ihdina, ihdina, I am pronouncing it ih. So u also. So this is Hamzatul Qata. Now huruf shamsiya wal huruf al-qamariya, which we have covered today. And so you must be remembering it. At-tajiru, this is huruf shamsiya. Al-babu, this is huruf al-qamariya. Ba is from huruf al-qamariya. Ta is from huruf al-shamsiya. Now I spoke about i'rab. This is a very important subject, and I am going to repeat this almost in every class. And when we will be doing grammatical analysis, we will be talking a lot about i'rab. So I told you that i'rab is not harakat as normally misunderstood normally in India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Many people, they teach them, they call this harakat as i'rab. Actually, it is more than harakat. I'rab is more than harakat. And I told you that i'rab will be taught to you more and more. Now, I explained you till now, what I explained you is i'rab with the ending sounds only, So if so there are three kinds of i'rab: rafa, nasab, jar. Rafa, nasab, and jar. Okay. So rafa is those ism whose ending sound is un or u. So for example, kitabun, al-kitabu, u or un. So this falls into the category of rafa. In the same way, nasabun is those words that whose ending sound is an or a. So kitaban or kitaba, that is nasab. Al-kitaba is nasab. Okay. And the same way, jarin, whose is ending sound ends with in or e. So kitabin, in, there is the ending sound in, and al-kitabi, so that is jar. So those words which are coming as in the form of rafa, they are called marfu. So if I am saying kitabun, so I'll say kitabun is marfu. So if I'm saying kitaban, then I'll say it's mansub. And if I'm saying kitabin, then I'm saying it's majroor. Okay. So you can either call them as rafa, nasab, jar, or you can say marfu, mansub, or majroor. So it depends what terminology you are familiar with. We'll be using both the terminologies. Okay. You can either use this or you can use this, like this. Okay. So this is i'rab. This is a very important topic. If you have not understood this, go back to my slides, go back to my video on YouTube, and you can revise it. So al jumla, I spoke about jumla, and I mentioned that any language is a combination of words, first of all. So there are words which we call it as kalimat. So the words, they combine together and they form phrases or fragments. We call them as murakkab. And these phrases and fragments, they further join together to form a meaningful sentence. We call that meaningful sentence as al-jumla. Al-jumla is a sentence which have complete sense in it, complete meaning in it. So that is al-jumla. Okay. So there are two types of jumla we have learned. Okay, I have explained you. There is al-jumlatul ismiyah, the sentence that starts with ism. The sentence that starts with ism is called al-jumlatul ismiyah. And when I'm talking about al-jumlatul ismiyah, so I'm always looking after two things in that sentence. I'm looking into two things in jumlatul ismiyah. And what are those two things? Al-mubtada and al-khabar. Al-mubtada and al-khabar. And we took examples of that, so many examples today. Okay. So there is second category of jumla, which is al-jumlatul fi'liyah. So the sentence that starts with fi'l. So we have not yet, I have not yet taught you what is fi'l. So inshallah, when the time comes, you will learn al-jumlatul fi'liyah also. So the second type of sentence is al-jumlatul fi'liyah. So here I think, since time is up, so I will now stop here. So this is the recap, what we have learned till now. Inshallah, tomorrow I will start with the concepts that is covered in chapter number 4. Okay, if you have, we don't have time for questions now, but you can type the questions on the Telegram group, or you can use your the website forum for that. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, the recordings are available on YouTube channel. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can get alerts also, automatic alerts whenever a YouTube video is available. So you can listen to that. Okay.